We've got a pretty big update in the Flint water investigation. Now, former Governor Rick Snyder recently had his phone seized by authorities as the investigation into who knew what and when as it related to the Flint water crisis. Now, according to CNN, Snyder and more than 65 other current or former officials have had their cell phones or other information seized in connection with the investigation into the crisis in Flint, where cost-cutting measures, they allege, led to tainted drinking water that contained lead and other toxins. Now, in reality, switching the water over actually wasn't a cost-cutting measure at all. I'm not really sure why they wanted to switch over. It turned out that keeping the water source originally would have actually saved a lot more money because they wouldn't have to have gone through the treatment measures, which they apparently ignored, and that, of course, caused lead from the pipes to leach into the water. Now, as far as this seizing their cell phones, now, right now, CNN says, look, Snyder hasn't been charged of anything yet, but he just had his cell phone seized. This is an unprecedented step. There's a former governor having his private communications seized in relation to Flint in an investigation, which could be a criminal investigation. I would hope it would be. Now, more information here from Michigan Solicitor General Fadwa Hammoud. In a statement to CNN, she said, quote, "The prosecution is aware of substantial potential evidence that was not provided to the original prosecution team from the onset of the investigation. The team is currently in the process of obtaining the evidence through a variety of means, including search warrants. Now, the team is also conducting a thorough review of existing and newly received evidence pertaining to the Flint water crisis," the statement continued. Now, what evidence that they're looking for, or they might find, I don't know. But we now know that Snyder's iPhone, iPad, and hard drive have all been seized by authorities, according to a search warrant signed in May 19th. So, I mean, if you're Governor Snyder, you might get a little bit worried. As for everyone else,
ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
no, not yet. Not yet. But who knows? Again, let me go back to something that's a little bit different. But I think you can draw a parallel. Michael Cohen. Now, Michael Cohen had his, records seized, his office raided, and he ended up, of course, becoming a co-conspirator, President Trump, and now he's currently in prison. I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen to Snyder, two completely unrelated cases. But I think this is related to Snyder not presenting evidence that he knew about this beforehand, which I think should be considered a criminal action. Now, the search warrant also included similar information seized from 22 employees who worked in the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, 11 in the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, and more than 33 employees in the governor's office. There's no way with that many people knowing that, and there were so many people that actually knew what was going on in Flint. There's no way the governor didn't know beforehand. Definitely before he said, or definitely before when he said he started to know about this issue and tried to fix it. Now, I've got to give a huge shout out, of course, to everybody who's been talking about Flint, especially Jordan Sheridan over at Status Quo. He's been on location in Flint more times than I can count. I live in Michigan. I have not been to Flint as much as Jordan has. Now, he's been looking into homes, talking to residents, and most importantly, trying to get the truth about what's going on. And whatever else you might think about him, he is very dedicated to helping the people of Michigan and in Flint and exposing the gross mismanagement of the Michigan government. And look, it's, been under control from the Republicans, but I don't really care who's controlled it. Whoever is responsible. And yes, it looks like a lot of blame does go to the governor, but also some Democrats maybe on the board who decided they wanted to switch over the water sources. Whoever it was, I don't care. I just want justice for Flint. This is not a partisan issue. I don't really care what party poisoned Flint. Somebody did, and we need to get justice. The people of Flint deserve justice. And Snyder, look, Again, I think his role is that he knew something about it, didn't fix it right away, and then lied about what he knew when he knew it. Now, if they find emails and correspondence that ends up proving that, then one tough nerd might find out what it's like to wear orange. We'll see what happens. We'll see what they find in those hard drives. We'll see what they find in those cell phone records. But either way, I think former Governor Snyder might be going to bed a little nervous tonight. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.